everyone, today I am making a painting for my patrons and it's the January print, kind of like the end of the year package. I plan on including an extra little bonus item in this one too, which will be a button that you can't get anywhere else, and there'll be 2 stickers and a journal page as well. So I'm just working on the print for it here, and it's kind of a more involved watercolor / pencil crayon illustration. I haven't really sat down and done something like this since school, and it was kind of nice to get it out of my system and just like really go in with the details and just take my time and have fun painting it. This kind of stuff is really like my comfort zone. It's really fun for me to draw like little animals just sitting in a forest. Maybe they have like a backpack or a little coat on or an umbrella, or in this case the mouse has a basket of bread. I just like drawing animals where they have like human things going on with them. I think that's kind of fun because I think it makes us sort of connect with them more, and that's what I like about that. And I really wanted it to be a very like pink and green sort of theme, but you'll see that when I am painting it. But one thing I kind of wanted to just talk about to kind of get my thoughts out there, I guess, it's something I haven't really been consciously thinking about or like trying to do, which is, I guess, the kinds of things I want to be drawing and the style in which I want to be drawing. Because I've just been thinking, I've been in school, you know, for the past like 2.5 years. I have a year left and a half, I guess. And there's, I don't know, sometimes it feels like you need to have a clear grasp on things that you like to draw and how you are going to draw them. But it's still, since I'm still like in the learning process, and I guess every artist is, it kind of feels like I jump around a lot. And I don't think this is a bad thing at all, but I just feel like I don't give myself enough time to like focus in on one specific area of my style that I want to explore. I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm trying to say, but I hope it will come across in a way that makes sense. Basically, I'm just like voicing my inner monologue that I have with myself when I think about art. And this all comes from a place of excitement. I'm not like art blocked, and it's not like I feel bad about my art or anything. I just feel like there's so many possibilities, and I need to kind of like organize my thoughts on what I want to like explore with my style and subject matter and my artwork, because I feel like there's a lot of different ways I enjoy working. I guess one of them would be a very like clean digital style, and I usually only do this if I'm doing like an informative assignment, I guess, like info illustration. I don't really like working very cleanly digitally though. I like to strive for like very clean artwork when I do traditional, because it still has that like natural look to it. So I guess when I make stickers, that's a very like clean line arty style. I only really use that when I'm making like graphics for stuff, sticker designs, pin designs, that sort of thing. I use that sort of style for making stickers and designing backing cards for stuff where it needs to be legible and cute and shiny and whatever. That's the style I use for like stickers and stuff like that. But then there's also this like sketchy style I do when I'm drawing digitally, where it's like I'll do a rough sketch but it still has like details to it. I'll put a color on the line art, I'll set it to like multiply or darken or color burn or some kind of layer mode, and I'll color under it, and then I'll add some lighting effects on top, and then I'll paint a little bit on top, and that is my digital colored sketch. That's another sort of style I like to work in. And by terms of style, I mean how I'm actually rendering things and painting things, and the marks I'm making and the tools I'm using, not like if I'm doing realism or cartoony stuff, because I tend to kind of draw in the same sort of realm of cartooniness / stylized amount every time. It's pretty similar. There's another way that I recently tried, and it's something I really want to explore more, and that's, I did a painting, I did a whole video about this actually. I did a painting traditionally in gouache, and it was quite messy, and I wanted to take it somewhere, and I just like didn't have the patience, or I guess I just knew how to do it better digitally, so I scanned it in and I painted on top of it digitally with traditional looking brushes, and I love that like painterly sort of look that it has. I don't think I pulled it together the best possible way, but I did enjoy it. and the process of it is something I really want to explore more. But I also really like the sort of style that I did in this video, where I just like, it's a very tight sort of watercolor and pencil type of artwork, and I just think it's really fun to do. It's really relaxing to just like zone in on the details and just do something very naturey and traditional looking. Not a lot of texture. I mean, there's a lot of like texture that comes from just the watercolor and the pencil crayon, stuff that happens naturally, but there's not like crazy brush strokes, not even crazy brush strokes, but there's no like tiny splatters of paint. There's no like big areas of bleeding colors. But I do enjoy working this way, to just have complete control over everything. And just, I planned it out digitally first. I did a value study to make sure I got the values right, because something I wanted the foreground to be very dark and the branch coming up to be also very dark, and the character to be kind of backlit but also like lit from the front. So he's sort of like the mid-tone and the background is a lot lighter, and I just really wanted it to have that contrast. And I tried to be bold with the watercolor and use really dark colors when I was painting it and everything. I just took my time with it. I did it over the course of like 3 or 4 days, worked on it bit by bit every day, and I honestly miss doing things like that. I miss just like coming back to pieces and working on them a little bit, and then stepping back for a bit, coming back, working on it. I think it's really good to be able to have to rest your eyes from staring at it for so long. That's another sort of style that I enjoy working with, the very like watercolor and line art and the softness of it, yet crisp lines and little hatching marks around it. Although on this one there's not a lot of hatching marks, but I do really like incorporating like hatching marks and shapes within the shading. Kind of little like subtle areas you can find if you look at it closer. And then there's also gouache paintings, which are basically like I'll do a layer of watercolor and then I'll do gouache on top of it, and there's not a lot of paint, and I also really enjoy working like that too. It just allows me to kind of give it a whole other look, and it looks digital but it's not, because you can't really get something that looks like this digitally. It takes a lot longer to mimic traditional art digitally than to just do it traditionally, and it's a little bit more fun to mix your own paint, and it's easier to have color harmony because you're using the same like 3 or 4 or 5 pigments to make all your colors, where if you're on digital art, you have every single color available to you, and all the colors you're using together might not be the most harmonious because it's just harder to do that digitally. And then there's another thing that's kind of similar to the gouache style that I do, but it's almost like digital gouache, and it doesn't look like gouache, but it's a very like painterly digital style where all the brush strokes are visible and loose, and I need to kind of work on that one a little bit more actually. I haven't been doing it as much, so I want to work on that style. And I say all this because I'm trying to sort out my thoughts about my art, I guess, and just like, I guess summarize everything and sort of figure out what I want to push more and what I want to work on more. Oh, there's another style that I really want to explore, and by style I mean like a technique, I guess, of rendering stuff. I want to be able to do something with purely watercolor and nothing else, because I think that looks so beautiful. I don't know if that's anything I'm ever gonna naturally want to do or explore more, because I'm not sure if the way I work, if that will lend itself to the way I work, because I rely on line a lot. Not too much. I have like lost and found edges, I guess you could say. I don't fully outline everything. I like outlining areas that need it and leaving things without a line on other areas of the painting. But since I do rely on line and hatching, so doing something purely in watercolor, I tend to kind of stiffen up because you are physically moving the paintbrush slower, and if you're moving your hand slower, it tends to just be like stiffer in general. And it's harder to get like crisp lines with watercolor because it's transparent, and it might interact with what's below it and not come across the way you want it to, and it's just a lot harder doing something in pure watercolor because you can only add, you can't you can only darken stuff, you can't take stuff away. I want to practice with masking fluid more as well, with that like more watercolor based sort of rendering approach. If you know the artist Heikala, she does that a lot. I really admire her watercolor stuff. She has a certain kind of precision that I want to get when it comes to that. So does that really cover everything? I guess there's another sort of style I developed through Inktober, which is like a very, very line art heavy style where the whole thing is shaded with lines and you just add color underneath digitally. That's something I also think is really fun to do, and it looks really cool when you're done with it. I've been meaning to turn my Inktober stuff into colored prints, so I should probably work on that this Christmas break, because I am on break for 2 more weeks. So I guess, I don't know, what I'm trying to say here is I think it's cool and fun to have a bunch of different kinds of styles, and it's really fun to try new things, because no matter what you do, it's still going to look like you made it. Whether you do something digitally or more sketchy or more finished or more like line art heavy, it's still your hand making the art and your brain thinking of the ideas and telling your hand what to do. Like the way you make your marks on the page, it's still going to look like you drew it, no matter which sort of medium you use or which style you decide to do. And I think it's fun to have a lot of different ways to make art, and it's fun to kind of, because if you do it the same way every single time, you might get bored of it, and you might become afraid to try new things. And I think trying new approaches is a good way to find out what might actually work better for you and what you might prefer. Some people have their have the way they make art down to a science, and they have a very specific way of how they do everything. And I think that's also valuable too, because then you can make a consistent body of work, and you kind of like are just really good at using your tools. But I also think there's a lot of value in having a bunch of different ways to make art, especially when you're still sort of a student and you're still figuring stuff out, like myself. I don't think it's a bad thing to have different styles, and it's actually good because it lets you be able to do different projects. If you ever want to freelance or work for a company or something, or if you want to do your own projects, each one can have their own sort of look. It'll still look like you did it, but each one is like individual. One might be more sketchy and loose, and one might be more very digital and graphical, but it's still your style. I just kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's been on my mind, and I wanted to sort out my thoughts about the way I make art, because I was just thinking, like, how do I actually want to be making art? Because I jump around so much with how I do it, and I just like to switch it up sometimes, and I think that's okay. I think that's a good thing to do. It's good to be able to have one style and be able to replicate that style, and to have other styles and be able to replicate them. And then there's also like the ones that you're experimenting with that you can't really replicate, but you're slowly working on it, and as you go, you might become better at replicating that style. I hope this was kind of interesting to hear. Let me know what your thoughts are about this and the different kinds of media you like to explore and the different ways you like to make art, depending on what project you're doing or what look you want it to have. Like, what are the different sort of styles that you like to explore? And what sorts of things have you always wanted to be able to do but you've never really tried? I think it's fun to just always explore new things and try new stuff with your art, because you really can do anything you want. Like, you have so many tools in front of you and so many different ways of how to create stuff. You can do anything. Like, you can, I don't know, there's just, like, the possibilities are endless really when it comes to this. And that's why I like to explore styles and stuff, and that's why I want to kind of more consciously do it, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. I hope this was interesting. This print will be available to patrons for January, so make sure you pledge to the Greyhound tier before the end of December to grab this print. There will be a journal page, and it's also very like foresty based. I haven't done it yet, but it's interesting. It's gonna be some kind of like magical secret place. That's what the journal page will be based around. There'll be some stickers and an exclusive button, like a pin back button that I'm going to attempt to mail out and hope it goes well. And all these things are only available to Greyhound patrons. And also check out my store. I really want to work on putting up some more sticker sheets and stuff up there this break, so I hope I'll get the time to do that, because I really want to kind of update it. I haven't updated my store in a while, even though it's a lot to do during school, but I still enjoy packaging up all the orders. It's a lot of fun. So thanks so much for watching this video. I like doing sort of, I guess, podcast style stuff where I just talk about things instead of talk while I make art. I've kind of missed doing this. I used to do it all the time. And if there's any other things you want me to kind of give my thoughts on, whether they are coherent or not, please tell me in the comments, because I will do that. Sometimes I just really like making these types of videos. So I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll have a really good Christmas if you celebrate that, or whatever other holiday you celebrate, or whatever traditions you have this time of year. I hope they're not too stressful and that they're really fun, because I think I will not talk to you again until after Christmas. So thank you so much for watching this. It was really fun to make, really relaxing. I enjoyed painting this a lot, and I'm excited to print it, and I'll see you in my next video.